Hi, I'm Illy Walter, and today I'm going to be talking to you about creating your genogram. Now, I've created this genogram in Word, in Microsoft Word, by simply inserting shapes. And as you create your basic genogram, you can do the same. However, it is likely that you will need more than one page. So keep in mind that these are the basic steps, but you want to be able to expand your genogram. And because of that, I recommend using an actual physical genogram for your first one. So a roll of paper, some poster board. My first genogram was a tangible one. However, there is software available that can help you create a very extensive genogram electronically. One of those products is called GenoPro. So if you are interested, I believe their website is genopro.com. If you are new to genogram creation, it can seem a bit intimidating, especially if you've seen large, complex genograms. But every genogram starts with the basics. And as you learn more about your family system, then you can add to it. So the basics is where every genogram begins, and that's where you will begin. Today, I'm going to share with you this genogram. It is fictional, and it is 4 generations. M is the first generation, and this generation here is the 4th generation. And we're going to go step by step and explain how you can create this basic foundational genogram. I'm using Amy and Bob and their fictional family in order to illustrate how you can begin to construct your family system. So your first step is getting really clear about your family of origin. For example, are you the biological child in your family system? Were you adopted? Were you raised by a step parent or by grandparents? Were your parents a same-sex couple? So these are all important questions to answer so that you know ahead of time how to situate yourself in your family of origin. Also, if you're not partnered or you've never been in a significant relationship, then you would be here in M's position, connected to your parents or your caretakers in your family of origin. In this genogram, Amy is you, or the person taking on the family of origin exploration. And we know this because she is marked by a double symbol. There are 2 circles around her name. If Bob were the person taking on the exploration, then he would have a double square. When you place yourself on your genogram, you will have a double symbol as well. And this indicates at first glance who the person is that's giving the genogram information. In other words, whose family system it is. We see here that Amy is married to Bob. And you know this because there's a solid line across their relationship that connects them to one another. If they were living together, this line would be dashed. So Amy connects herself to Bob in marriage. They have 1 daughter, M. That is the first step, your family system. Then the next step is to go up 1 generation. And as you do that, if you do have a significant other, you would do the same for their family. Amy is connected with a solid line, and that means that she's the biological child of Sally and Mike, and they were married. And she is the second child of Sally and Mike because she has an older brother who's connected here. As Amy is connected into her family of origin, she's connected in her sibling position, meaning that she is in the order of birth. That's very important as well, that as you connect yourself and other family members, that you connect them in their sibling position. That's the term that Murray Bowen used. Also, you can tell by looking here that her older brother is married because he's connected with a solid line to a woman here. And the same for Bob. Bob is the biological child of these two people, and he's the oldest of 3 boys. These are the basic steps, just making sure that all the members are accounted for and on your genogram. Males are always represented with squares, and females are always represented with circles. Males are always on the left, and females are always on the right. This is important because as we move to the next generation, you'll see that there are divorces and remarriages, and the males always stay on the left. Also, children always remain in between their biological parents. For example, if Amy were the biological child of Sally and Mike, and they had divorced in 1985 instead of separated, then Sally had remarried. Her new husband would be attached to the left of Mike here, as you see the cursor moving. And perhaps that man would have contributed to raising Amy. She would still be shown on the genogram under her 2 biological parents. And the reason for that is not preference or any emotional reason. It's so that looking at the genogram, it's very clear where she belongs in her family system. It's about the facts so that patterns can be noted and information can be gleaned from the visual representation of the family, which is the genogram. And again, next, we do the same process is repeated with Sally and Mike. Sally is placed in her family of origin, her parents, her siblings, she was the middle child. Mike is placed in his family of origin. And for Bob's parents, the same steps are taken. Now, I want to go back and note that your genogram is going to be more complex. It's likely that you will have more people on your genogram. I've only shown a sibling marriage once here, but it's likely that you will have siblings, several siblings that are married, uncles and aunts that are married, marriages and separations. Include as much detail as possible so that you have as many family members as possible on your genogram. But also, if you start to feel overwhelmed, limit yourself to those people that are very significant to you if you have a very large family, because it can get a bit overwhelming if you have lots of siblings and lots of uncles and aunts, etc. In this generation here, I want to take the time to illustrate the next steps. When you make sure that all the family members are on your genogram, that's the first step, then begin to label each person with their name and their age, as you see here with Mary. If you can fit the name and age in each person's symbol, wonderful. If not, as long as they're nearby and you know who was represented by each symbol, that's what matters. After each person is labeled with their name and age, mark divorces, as well as marriages. If you know the dates, wonderful. If you don't, then you can leave this part blank. You can find dates and more details in the future for your genogram. So at this point, just worry about marking the things that you know. And divorces are marked by 2 slanted lines, as shown here, perpendicular to the marital line. Separations, as we see here with Mike and Sally on the right, are marked with 1 slanted line along the marital line. And deaths are marked with an X through the person symbol. If you know the death year, also include that on your genogram. So for this basic genogram, you'll make sure that all family members are represented. You'll label every member with their name and age. You'll also mark any separations, divorces, and deaths on your family genogram. that is it. Once you finish those 3 things, you have a great foundation for expanding your genogram. Now, there are additional symbols for genograms and children as well. There are symbols for pregnancy, for miscarriages, for adopted children. And if you are interested in learning more symbols and having more examples of genograms, I recommend 2 books. And the first one is Emily Marlin's Genograms. This is a wonderful book, especially if you're new to creating genograms. It takes you step by step from the very basics to expanding and creating a robust, detailed family genogram. And it's important that this genogram include at least 3 to 4 generations, because the more information is on your genogram, the more you're going to learn about your family, and the easier it will be to track patterns that you deem important in the future. This book is written for the person that's taking on their family exploration. And in that sense, it's a great book for you to keep as your own personal manual. If you're a therapist, it's also a book that can be handed to clients if they choose to go through this process. My next recommended read is Genograms, Assessment and Intervention by Monica McGoldrick, Gerson, and Petrie. This is a more clinical look at genograms, but it has some fascinating genograms of famous families. It also includes symbols like the Marlin book, and includes case examples of how to use genograms in clinical work. If you're looking for that next level, or something that's a little bit more advanced than the Marlin book, then I recommend this one. I have both, and I use them both regularly. Good luck with your genogram creation. I hope that this video has been helpful to you. If you have any questions, feel free to comment below or contact me at familytherapybasics.com/contact.